What a week, everyone! You know, things are getting bad for the royal establishment when even their loudest defenders can't explain what the monarchy is actually for. A few days ago we witnessed a moment so painfully awkward it deserves an award. Maybe not for journalism, but definitely for best unintentional comedy in a debate. We're talking about that now viral exchange between journalist Will Lloyd and royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams. You've probably seen it. Richard, usually smooth and confident, suddenly looked like a Windows 95 computer trying to load a 4K video. Total system failure. Will Lloyd calmly opened with a brutal truth. The monarchy is clapped out. And he didn't mean that as an insult. He meant it as an observation. The entire royal machine is sputtering, out of fuel, and kept alive by nostalgia and palace press releases. When Will asked the simplest question, "What's the point of the monarchy anymore?" you could see the panic set in. Richard started listing random countries like a geography teacher on caffeine. "The Vatican, France, Germany," he said, as if saying enough names would somehow make the argument sound intellectual. The problem? None of those places have monarchies like Britain's. And then came the knockout punch, the question that made every defender of the crown squirm in their gold-embroidered seats. Will asked, "What's the soft power benefit of Prince Andrew?" Boom. Silence. You could hear Buckingham Palace sweating from miles away. Because really, how do you defend an institution whose biggest headlines involve scandals, lawsuits and cover-ups? How do you claim moral authority when one of your own has been accused of the most disturbing behaviour, and the previous head of state allegedly helped bury it? Richard's answer? A word salad about soft power, charitable benefits, and being above party politics. The man repeated soft power so many times you'd think he was trying to cast a spell. But the truth is, that phrase doesn't mean anything anymore. What soft power comes from covering up scandals and ignoring accountability? That's not influence, that's damage control. Will Lloyd didn't even need to raise his voice. He just sat there, calm and surgical, while Richard's argument melted faster than the royal PR team during a Harry and Meghan Netflix premiere. Now, here's the part I love. Will Lloyd's point wasn't about hate, it was about reality. He basically said, if you remove the fairy dust and the tabloid spin, what are you left with? A family funded by taxpayers who spend more time managing optics than actually serving the public. And this is where Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex stand in stark contrast. They walked away from this tired circus years ago. They saw the system for what it was, performative, outdated and unwilling to change, and they chose independence, purpose and global impact over hollow ceremony. That's not betrayal, that's evolution. Meanwhile, the defenders keep recycling the same talking points. Tourism, tradition, charity, they say, like a broken record. But come on, people visit France for Versailles, and their monarchy ended 2 centuries ago. As for charity, most organisations raise their funds through genuine public support, not ribbon-cutting photo ops. Will Lloyd's article in the New Statesman made this crystal clear. He pointed out that Prince William, the man sold as the monarchy's modern hope, might just be the most overrated royal of all. The press has spent years branding him as relatable, down to earth, the everyman future king. But being average isn't a virtue when your role is supposed to represent excellence. And the kicker? Apparently, William isn't exactly known for his intellectual curiosity. According to reporters, he doesn't read much, prefers oral briefings, and has never studied the English Constitution. Basically, the manual on how his own job works. Imagine running a company and never once reading what your company actually does. That's not relatable. That's lazy. Lloyd doesn't attack. He exposes. He says the palace sells average as extraordinary, wrapping privilege in PR to make it look relatable. The crying in a commoner's kitchen routine. The football-loving dad narrative. It's not personality, it's packaging. It's how courtiers try to convince the public that inherited wealth equals virtue. And that's exactly why Harry and Meghan's departure was such a threat. They broke the illusion. They showed the world that royal titles don't define purpose. Actions do. When Harry stands up for veterans or when Meghan Sussex advocates for women's empowerment, it's not a photo op. It's consistent, heartfelt and real. Compare that to the royal PR machine, which treats charity like a costume. One day it's mental health, the next it's climate change, depending on which one polls best. That's why Richard Fitzwilliams's meltdown matters. It wasn't just a bad debate, it was a symptom of a system that's run out of language to defend itself. The monarchy's magic trick, surviving through ritual and reverence, doesn't work when the public starts asking real questions. And Lloyd did exactly that. What's the benefit? The silence said everything. Let's be honest, the only soft power the monarchy still has left is the ability to make the tabloids foam at the mouth every time Meghan Sussex breathes. That's not influence, that's obsession. And speaking of tabloids, this whole saga proves how desperate they are to protect the Crown's image. They'll spin, deflect and attack anyone, especially Harry and Meghan, who dare to reveal the cracks. Because the truth is, once people see the machinery behind the curtain, the myth falls apart. What's wild is that this reality check isn't coming from outsiders anymore. It's coming from inside Britain, from journalists like Lloyd, who are finally saying what millions have been thinking. The monarchy is not sacred. It's an outdated institution that needs to be questioned like any other. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan Sussex are thriving in their lane, building their foundation, producing projects that inspire, and raising their kids with privacy and purpose. They represent what the royal family pretends to be: modern, relatable, and independent. So, when the establishment tries to portray them as villains while defending a system that can't even justify itself on live TV, the hypocrisy couldn't be clearer. What Lloyd did, calmly dismantling decades of royal PR with a few questions, was revolutionary. Because the moment someone asks, "What's the point?" and no one can answer, that's when the spell breaks, and it's breaking right now in real time. So here's the bottom line. The monarchy isn't falling because of Harry and Meghan. It's collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. All Harry and Meghan did was step out of the burning building before it came down. And to Richard Fitzwilliams, bless his heart. Maybe next time, instead of mumbling about soft power, he could just say what everyone knows but won't admit. We defend the monarchy because we're scared of change. Because that's what this is all about. Change. And like it or not, Harry and Meghan represent that change. So let's give Lloyd credit. He didn't just win a debate, he exposed a truth that even the royal establishment can't spin away anymore. The monarchy isn't being destroyed by outsiders. It's being undone by its own irrelevance. And that's exactly what we keep saying here on Sussexes Unfiltered. When you strip away the pomp, what matters is purpose. Harry and Meghan Sussex embody that. The rest? Just smoke and ceremony. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the monarchy can still justify itself, or has it finally hit its expiration date? Let's hear it below, and don't forget to stay tuned for more unfiltered takes. Because here we keep it real, royal, and unapologetically honest.